Playing too fast. Slow down to win more games. The fastest ship to leave port isn't always the first to arrive, especially when every other captain has cannons pointed at the horizon. Speed doesn't always kill, but it can get you killed. My name is Jay, and welcome to the Grim Captain's Locker, a longer format video essay series where we deep dive into commander theory, preferably letting me ramble and make weird and hopefully intelligible analogies regarding topics I've hyper-focused on for far, far too long. Despite popular belief, tempo doesn't simply mean dumping your hand as quickly as possible. It, at least in this definition for the video today, means generating mana advantage over time. Which means in EDH, tempo is about when and how you act, not just how fast. We want to think less about can we play this card, and more about should we play this card and how does it benefit us. Too often, players simply like tossing down cardboard. And this isn't a slight to those players, but if you're watching this video, chances are you seek a little more strategy and nuance in your plays, and hate looking back at a critical yet preventable error. We're looking to achieve inevitability, and that means we need our engines to stick. Sometimes, that means sacrificing our card quality in order to realize actual gains over time. As an example, since if I don't make an extended analogy every day I implode, let's toss one out there. Some people like to invest heavily into the new crypto tithe coin, let's call it that. The trendiest, highest upside stonk on the market. However, this is a horrible turn 3 or turn 4 play, not just due to the tempo inefficiency as a nature's claim sets you back, but for the newly garnered threat aimed your way. A cutesy, lower perceived power Kadira caller of the small deck that has a Smothering Tithe cast is going to immediately draw more pressure, even if the tithe didn't make them a single treasure. Was it worth it? I'd argue not. Assuming a reasonably balanced pod and Rule 0 conversation, a player can only be as threatening as the table allows them to be. I'm going to say that one more time, is the crux of my deck building theory. A player can only be as threatening as the table allows them to be. In this sentence, the Kadira player could have gotten down a Tireless Provisioner instead. Worse card quality than Smothering Tithe? Absolutely. Easier to remove? Yes. But if I had to bet, the Provisioner play increases your win percentage more than the Tithe play. It's still very good and worth removal, but it doesn't push you towards that instant archenemy status in the same manner. Sometimes, slowing down can be just the thing you need to win more games. Let's look at this in practice here. My first commander deck back in the OG Innistrad era was Kaalia of the Vast. I loved that deck and considered it to be an absolute weapon of mass destruction. However, in practice, it got me into more trouble than it should have. Here's an example. Turn 1 with a Kaalia deck. We play a land, play a Soul Ring, we play our Arcane Signet, we play a Blood Pet. Turn 2, we drop another land. Kaalia comes down. We play Lightning Greaves. We attack with her, and we put our giant angel, demon, or dragon. Let's say Villas, Broker of Blood. This is about as an ideal of a start as Kaalia can ask for. But did it increase her overall chances of winning? I'd argue no here. Well, that first strike is large. The overall chances of victory likely decrease. Even more so if she went the Master of Cruelties route. A turn 2 player kill is pretty wild, but are you resilient enough in both deck and actual personal mindset to handle the inevitable 2v1 that will occur for the rest of the game? Imagine if that went a little more like this. Turn 1, we play a land and a Giver of Runes. Turn 2, hit on a land drop, play a Deep Known Terramancer, who triggers twice that cycle from a fetch land and a Nature's Lore, giving you 4 lands in play. Turn 3, hit on a land drop, totaling 5 now on board, followed by a Voice of Victory to probe for removal, then a Faithless Looting to dump a big angel, demon, or dragon. Let's say the 59-cent Drakuseth Maul of Flames, and an Anger, while seeing 2 more cards in our hand. With our 2 remaining mana, we'll go ahead and reanimate a hasty, uncounterable Drakuseth and turn it sideways, making a huge tempo play, smacking one opponent's Noble Hierarch, another's Tireless Provisioner, and the third's commander, Marin of Clan Nel'Tath, while not drawing too much hate by hitting 1 creature from each player. Then the dragon smacks the player with the most life dependence, board wipes, or best late game, and for 6 damage, and we move on. with our Giver of Runes ready to protect our removal engine, and a Supernatural Stamina in hand with 1 black up to save our protection engine if needed. Then turn 4, we can bring out our hasty, uncounterable Kalia and get into our normal game plan, now with repeatable protection and removal ready to go, and some emergency filtering waiting in the graveyard in case we need to dig for another fatty to cheat in. By delaying ourselves just a bit, this second setup is much more resilient and less likely to make you the de facto archenemy, while increasing your win chance rather than harming it. Side tangent here regarding greed and stealing tempo. Let's talk about one of the most aptly named cards in Magic's history, Meltdown. X and a red for a sorcery that reads, destroy each artifact with mana value X or less. In a grindier Mardu list I've been enjoying recently, I cut my mana rocks completely and let this and Vandal Blast put in a ton of work. At best, this kills 3 to 6 enemy rocks plus a ton of utility tokens. At worst, it can force out clues, treasures, foods, constructs, and more for a single red mana. It's a great deal, and Sinfully has only ran in 8,735 decks, 0% of the 2.8 million decks that can run it. That's a shame. Just like it's a shame you haven't taken a moment to like this video at instant speed, and subscribe as a sorcery on your turn. A Commander game can feel like a race to the finish line sometimes, and that's where interaction comes into play, and where it gets really interesting, for me at least. Rather than a socially awkward game of synchronized solitaire, we get to hinder our opponent's plays and make their paths to victory more circuitous while they do the same to ours. In a nutshell, the best tool for a job is always context dependent. In a short race in a straight line, a drag car will rarely lose. However, the same best-in-class option becomes unplayable when the race becomes an off-road rally race with tight turns through wooded terrain. Spamming fast mana into a cramped win con is the most direct path, but not always the best in casual pods, even in competitive pods. In fact, the hunt for supreme mana efficiency can often make your deck worse, but that's for another video. So, what are your favorite value engines? How do you punish speedster spikes that fly too close to the sun? Leave a comment and share your knowledge with others. Thanks for joining me today, and please stay tuned in for more content in the future. If you have any ideas for topics you'd like to see, feel free to toss a comment down below. Have a good one.